My name is Rachel, and I'm 33 years old. I'm a housewife, and my husband, Adam, and I have been married for 4 years. We haven't had a child yet, and we're currently undergoing fertility treatment, but it's been difficult to conceive. One day, as I was coming home from the grocery store, I noticed a little girl sitting in front of my house. She was a complete stranger, and I wondered why she was outside on such a cold winter day without a coat. Concerned, I called out to her, "Hello, are you waiting for someone? Can you tell me your name?" She answered, "Selena." "Your name is Selena? Okay, where's your mommy?" I asked. "Mommy went somewhere," she replied. I asked if she was lost and if she knew her mommy's name. She said her mommy's name was Mary. Suddenly, Selena handed me a piece of paper. My hands were shaking as I opened it, and it simply said, "Take care of this child for a while." I was shocked. "No way, are you Mary's daughter?" I asked. "Mary is my older sister. She left home when she was 20 and never came back. It's been about 17 years since she disappeared. She had a troubled life, often running away from home, getting involved with the wrong men, and causing financial problems. My parents and I were always worried about her, but we never knew she had a child." I asked Selena when her mom said she'd come back, but she didn't know. She told me, "Mommy always goes out with men I don't know and doesn't come home until morning." I was really concerned now. "Okay, then where's your father?" I asked. "I don't have a daddy," she said. "Mommy told me to stay at this house for a while because you're her sister." "I see," I said, taking Selena's hand and leading her into the house. She was really cold and shivering, and I wondered how long she had been outside. My sister Mary was always selfish and irresponsible, but I never imagined she would do this to her own child. I wanted a child but couldn't have one, and that made me feel a surge of anger toward Mary. Pushing those feelings aside, I turned on the stove and wrapped Selena in a warm blanket. "Selena, are you hungry?" I asked. "I'm hungry. I haven't eaten anything since yesterday," she replied. "You haven't eaten anything? I'll get you some food right now, just wait a second." I heated up some pumpkin soup I had made the day before and gave it to Selena. She drank a lot of it, and it seemed like she really liked it. "This is delicious," she said. "Really? I'm so happy to hear that. Have as much as you want," I told her. Selena kept saying how delicious the soup was, maybe even a little too much. It made me sad because it felt like she was trying hard to please me. I wondered what kind of life she usually had, but I didn't want to ask her too much right now. Instead, I decided to just make sure she was full and happy. I cooked fried chicken, an omelette, and rice for her, and she ate everything, saying it was all tasty and delicious. When Selena was finally full, I suggested that we take a bath. It seemed like she hadn't had one in a few days, and her hair was greasy. "Selena, how about a bath?" I asked. When I suggested taking a bath, Selena's face seemed to tense up for a moment. "You don't like taking baths?" I asked. "No, I don't mind," she said. "Are you sure? I'll get you something to wear as pajamas," I replied. I quickly went to the bedroom to find some smaller clothes for her, but when I came back to the living room, Selena wasn't there. I heard water running in the kitchen, so I peeked in. To my surprise, Selena had her head in the kitchen sink, trying to wash her hair with cold water. "What are you doing? That water is so cold. You'll catch a cold," I exclaimed. "I'm sorry," she said. "You don't have to apologize. Oh, you're freezing." I wrapped her in a blanket and took her to the bathroom. She looked around, wide-eyed, and said, "That's amazing." "What is?" I asked. "It looks just like the house I saw on TV." It turned out that the place where Selena lived didn't have a proper bathroom. Mary had been making her wash herself with cold tap water from the kitchen because she didn't want to spend money on heating the water. I tried to hold back my tears as I gently undressed Selena and helped her into the warm bathtub. "It's so warm. Are baths always this warm?" she asked. "Yes, they are. From now on, you can take a bath every day," I told her. "Really? I'm so happy," she said. I warmed her up in the bath and helped her get clean. Her hair was a bit tangled, so I treated it to make it smooth again. She looked like a lovely little girl once more. I dressed her in some of my loungewear, and while we were relaxing on the couch in the living room, Adam came home. "I'm home," Adam said as he walked in. "Welcome back," I replied. "This is the girl I told you about." When Selena saw Adam, she shrank back, looking scared. "It's okay," I reassured her. "This man is my husband. He's kind, so you don't need to be afraid of him." I explained the situation to Adam again. "What the hell? That's unforgivable. Can we keep her here for a while?" he asked. "Of course," I said. "How could she do that to such a small child?" After we talked, we went back to Selena, who was curled up in the living room. I started talking to her. "Selena, like I mentioned earlier, this man is my husband, Adam." "Please call me Uncle Adam," he said. "Good evening," Selena whispered. The three of us will be living in this house for a while. Is that okay with you? I asked. Is it okay if I stay here? Selena asked. Of course, and once we get settled, you'll go to elementary school, I told her. I've never been to school, she said. You've never been to school? What about kindergarten? I asked. I've never been to kindergarten because I'm no one, she said softly. What do you mean by no one? I asked, feeling confused. Selena, still a small child, didn't understand the details of why she was considered no one. She didn't want to talk about it, so I decided to let the conversation end there and let her rest. The next day, I reported everything to my parents. They came over right away to meet Selena. Hello, Selena. We are your grandfather and grandmother, they said warmly. Grandma and Grandpa? Selena asked, her eyes filling with tears. They hugged her tightly as she cried, looking both puzzled and happy. It seemed like she didn't know she had grandparents. After that, I asked my parents to watch Selena while I went to City Hall to check Mary's family register. When I looked, I found that Mary was unmarried and there was no mention of any children. It seemed that Selena's birth had never been registered. She was a non-existent child, which is why she never received an enrollment notice for elementary school. That must be what Selena meant when she said she was no one. After consulting with several people, including the Child Consultation Center and the municipal office, Selena's family register was finally created. Selena, you can go to elementary school now, I told her, smiling. I'm so happy, thank you, she said with tears of joy. By the time everything was sorted out, more than a month had passed. Since Selena came to live with us, she hasn't really opened up. She always seemed nervous, jumping whenever Adam or I moved. Whenever she made a mistake, she would apologize a lot, curl up her body, and cover her head. It made me think that Mary, her mom, must have done something hurtful to her in the past, and Selena couldn't forget it. Selena, you don't have to apologize so much, I told her gently. Uncle Adam and I will never get mad at you, and we won't ever hit you. Really? Promise? She asked. Of course I promise, I assured her. Even after that, Selena remained shy, but over time she started to talk more and even smiled a bit. Then, one day she suddenly said, I wonder when she will come for me. Hearing those words made me sad. Even though Mary had treated her badly, Selena still longed for her mom. Since Selena came into our lives, every day had been joyful. We had always wanted children and treated Selena like our own daughter. We wanted her to stay with us forever. The day after that conversation, Selena received an invitation to start elementary school. I was so relieved that she would finally have the chance to experience school life like other children. Now that it's decided, we need to get her ready for school. We need to buy a school bag, stationery, and lots of clothes, I thought. Selena, let's go shopping today for new clothes and school supplies, I said excitedly. I can get new clothes, but I already have some clothes, Selena said, surprised. It's okay, you'll need more comfortable clothes for school, I explained. Adam added with a smile, I'll come along to carry all the bags. So the three of us went to the shopping mall and bought everything Selena needed for school. We had so much fun shopping that we ended up buying a lot of things. We were all laughing and joking about how we had bought too much as we headed home. But when we got home, I was shocked to see Mary standing in front of our house. Mom, sis, Selena exclaimed. Oh, welcome home, Mary said casually. It's not welcome home, what were you thinking? How dare you come here? I snapped at her. Hey, calm down, don't yell at me, it's just pathetic. Who do you think you're blaming for all of this? First, you need to apologize to Selena, Mary replied coolly. Selena stood quietly as Mary entered the house, her eyes downcast, avoiding even a glance at her mother. I couldn't help but feel anger bubbling up inside me. What are you trying to do? I asked Mary sharply. Well, we can't just stand here talking, let me in the house. I'll do it even if you don't tell me, Mary replied dismissively. I hesitated, but eventually decided to let her in. Adam, always polite, introduced himself. Nice to meet you, I'm Adam, he said. I don't know how to say this at our first meeting, but you are an unfit parent to treat your child like that. Mary scoffed, You're so cocky, my brother-in-law, you're a stranger, you can't talk to me like that. I don't care about that, Adam shot back. You didn't even feed her properly. How could you do such a thing to your own child? Mary rolled her eyes. Single mothers have a hard time. I raised her well. You have no right to complain. You call that raising her well? You just neglected her, I said, unable to hide my frustration. Mary was visibly annoyed by our criticism, her face tightening with irritation. Her inability to recognize the severity of her actions left me baffled. I turned to Selena, hoping she might say something, but she couldn't even look at Mary. She shrunk back, shivering, the same way she had before. I had assumed Selena missed her mother, but now I wasn't so sure. As I stood there, lost in thought, Mary suddenly spoke up. You guys don't have kids, do you? No, but so what? I replied. I'm going to give you this child, Mary declared, her tone casual, as if she were offering something insignificant. What? Adam and I both exclaimed, stunned. I've raised her through the toughest baby years of her life. You'll be lucky to have an older kid now, Mary continued, seemingly unaware how outrageous her words were. Do you even know what you're talking about? I asked, my voice trembling with anger. I know exactly what I'm saying, Mary responded coldly. I'm saying that I'm going to give you poor, childless people a little kid. I was disgusted. You're unbelievable. We would never give her back to you, not even if you begged. Mary smirked. Oh, so you don't want her? Well, that's fine with me. I could hardly believe what I was hearing. I already made a family register, and she's going to elementary school next month. I will make her happier than she ever was with you. Mary seemed surprised by this. Oh, you made a family register? Why didn't you file a birth certificate? Because if I did, they would know I have a child, right? Mary said nonchalantly. I didn't want to mess with the family register for such a selfish reason. Because of that, she wasn't allowed to go to kindergarten or elementary school. I cried, appalled. Mary shrugged. There's nothing wrong with not going to school. It's just called active truancy. The tension in the room was palpable as Mary and I stood facing each other. Her cold, indifferent attitude towards Selena only fueled my determination to protect the little girl who had come to mean so much to Adam and me. It's not worth talking to you, I finally said, exasperated by her lack of remorse. I knew a bit of her history. She had broken up with Selena's father before giving birth and hadn't even registered Selena under his name. Mary had been leaving Selena alone repeatedly to go on dates, pretending to be unmarried and childless so she could find a new man to raise her child with. We'll take Selena. Don't come see us again, I said firmly, hoping to put an end to this nightmare. But Mary was undeterred. Then 10 million, she demanded, her eyes narrowing with greed. I'm giving you a person, so 10 million is a small price to pay, right? I was horrified. What are you talking about? You're going to sell your daughter for money? Of course I'm going to sell her for money, she said, as if it was the most natural thing in the world. I'm not going to pay you. Selena is a human being, I replied, my voice trembling with anger. Mary's expression darkened. Then I'll take Selena with me, lock her up in the house again, and have her wash her body with cold tap water. I couldn't let that happen. Okay, 10 million, I lied, desperate to keep Selena safe. Well, I can't get it for you today, so you'll have to come back later to pick it up, and I'll keep her here until then. Mary shrugged, seemingly indifferent. That's okay, I don't want to be bothered with her anyway. As she left, I knew we had to act fast. From that day on, Adam and I began thinking about what we could do to protect Selena permanently. But before taking any action, we decided to check in with Selena to see how she felt. Selena, I asked gently, do you want to go back to your mommy? Selena shook her head, her eyes wide with fear. I don't want to go back. Mom scares me. She always bumps into me and says all kinds of mean things. I don't want to go back. I see, I said, trying to hide my relief. The other day, you said you wondered when your mother would come for you. Selena looked down, fidgeting with her hands. That's because I thought that if Mommy came, I'd have to go back to that house, and I wanted to stay here forever. I hugged her tightly. I understand. Then I'll do my best for you to live with us from now on. Having confirmed Selena's feelings, we decided to investigate Mary's background further. Adam knew of an investigative firm, and through them, we discovered that Mary was now engaged to an elite lawyer. Armed with this information, we came up with a plan and began working behind the scenes to keep Mary from finding out what we were up to. A week later, when everything was ready, I lied to Mary again, telling her that we had the money and were ready to meet. On the day of the meeting, I invited Mary to our house. I asked my parents to come and take care of Selena during the confrontation. As soon as Mary arrived, she got straight to the point. Do you have the money ready? I stood my ground. I won't give you Selena and I won't pay you either. Mary's face twisted in anger. What? I came all the way here because you said you had the money ready. Now give me the money. Do you have any idea how heartbroken Selena is? I demanded. And then you end up selling her for money? Unbelievable. How I raise my kid is none of your business, Mary shot back. Children grow up even if they are left alone. You just don't understand because you don't have kids. That's where you're wrong, I said calmly. You didn't tell your boyfriend that you have a child, did you? Mary's eyes widened, but she quickly masked her surprise. The silence hung heavy in the air, and I knew we had the upper hand. We were ready to expose her deceit to her fiancé if she ever dared to try and take Selena back. Of course not, he's an elite lawyer, and we're getting married next year to live happily ever after. So don't bother us. What would he think if he knew what you just said? At that moment, Mary's fiancé, the elite lawyer, walked in and said, "Don't tell me what you just said is true. Did you lie to me? What's going on?" Mary looked surprised and said, "Why are you here? You said you were unmarried and childless." Her fiancé was furious. "I've never been married. I just happened to have a child by mistake. How could you be so horrible?" The lawyer continued, "Unbelievable. I was about to marry you without knowing you had cheated on me. Of course, I'm breaking off the engagement. You'll have to pay me alimony." Mary begged, "Wait, please don't leave me. Don't break off the engagement." The lawyer was resolute. "I can't marry someone who treats her child like that. I don't even want to see your face." Mary was desperate and said, "Rachel, you brought him here? Why did you do this to me?" Rachel replied, "Because I knew I couldn't handle this the regular way. I wanted to talk to a lawyer about Selena's case. After hearing what you said, I had to come here. I had no idea you were this much of a scumbag. From now on, I'll represent Rachel and her family thoroughly. You're going to regret making an enemy of a lawyer." Mary pleaded, "Oh no, please forgive me." Just then, a police officer arrived at our house. I had requested an investigation into the abandonment of a child. We had secretly recorded the previous conversation, and I had informed the police that Mary would be here today. Mary was taken away by the police and arrested for child abandonment. She was put behind bars for a while. After a long and difficult process, Selena was allowed to live with us. The lawyer, as promised, demanded compensation from Mary for breaking off the engagement. Mary had no chance against him and was thoroughly defeated. After her release from prison, Mary lost both her fiancé and Selena, and she had to work hard to pay for the damages. Mary's looks faded over time, and she stopped attracting men. One day she came to our house, crying and demanding Selena back. "She's my baby. Give her back," Mary yelled. I told her, "No, she's ours now. We won't give her back. You're no longer her guardian." Selena, now feeling safe with us, responded, "No, not mommy. Uncle and auntie are mommy and daddy now." Mary was heartbroken and walked away, clearly defeated. I was determined to keep Selena safe from her for the rest of her life. I hoped Mary would reflect on how she treated Selena and live with the consequences of her actions. Meanwhile, Adam and I decided to stop our difficult infertility treatments. Now, we're happily spending our days together, filled with laughter. I'm grateful for the joy Selena has brought into our lives, and I look forward to giving her all the love I can for the rest of my life.